As I make this video, China's President Xi Jinping is visiting Europe. So I think that it's only fair for me to pause the other topics on my channel and talk about China's strategy towards Europe this decade. And I'm going to put timestamp as usual down below. Start with introduction, and then I'm gonna talk about several different countries in Europe, and I will make a conclusion regarding what China's limited strategy towards Europe at the moment. I'm gonna start today's video by introducing the three geopolitical channels that I watch the most. The first one is Judging Freedom by Judge Napoleano, and then the second one is the Duran, and the third one up here is Viewpoint 观点. I think most of my audience know these two. Judging Freedom is more of a US centric view about the current politics, and the Duran carries a more European centric. And what you guys probably don't know is this one up here, which is based in Taiwan. And the host of this show is, I would say, Chinese centric and leaning towards Taiwan unification with China. And these three shows, they share something common, okay? First of all, they all have rotating guests and very influential guests as well. For example, this Taiwan show, they actually invite a live presidential candidate onto their show to talk about how they see the geopolitical environment surrounding Taiwan. And another thing I like about these three channels is that no matter if you agree with their perspective, they're all kind of pro negotiation and pro peace. They have a more balanced approach towards the current geopolitical tensions around the world. And the final thing is that they also all have their own biases. So for me, who can understand and speak both English and Chinese, I kind of watch all three of these shows. And when they talk about one particular topic, I would try to summarize their view and then draw my own conclusion. So it is difficult, definitely, for foreign audience to watch that show because that show is only in Mandarin. But for people who understand Mandarin, I would definitely recommend that show. Uh, Duran and Judging Freedom here, they both have close to 400,000 subscribers. Viewpoint has over a million, so it's quite popular. Consider China is YouTube, and people who want to watch this show from China, they need to get a VPN. And I think most people from Taiwan do not really watch this show because it's a bit too China leaning. But I try to watch other shows in China and in Taiwan as well. The Chinese ones, there are good ones, but usually they cannot give you the full spectrum of perspective because there are things that they cannot speak or compare to the government of China, for example. And Taiwan, there's just too many garbage Western media mainstream coverage, and this is the one I think that has a more accurate view of the world. From my perspective, I'm not against anyone any other people's perspective. There's an interesting backstory. Let's move Judging Freedom aside for now and talk about just these two shows, okay? The Viewpoint and the Duran. I found these two channels at the beginning around the same time about a year ago. So to me, definitely Mr. Tong and Lady Chen Viewpoint, I share with them more of my own perspective. And when I start watching the Duran, I don't really agree that much with Alex and Alexander at the beginning because I find their perspective to be a bit weird. But however, as time goes by, the Duran actually predict much more accurately the events that happens in Europe and regarding Ukraine war, in which that Viewpoint this Taiwanese-based podcast. When they say something, it sounds right, but they often happen to be a little bit inaccurate. So it kind of forced me to kind of sit down to listen to the RAM more because I appreciate alternative perspective, opinion, which from time to time it will lead to a more accurate view because they've proven that what they say actually end up happening. And this also goes the other way around. I think this is a culture thing. This Taiwan Chinese based broadcast, they have a more accurate understanding of what's happening around China and Taiwan. And the Duran has a more accurate understanding of the things that happen around Europe. So when it comes to topic that is about Asia and China, I can see that a lot of the time the Duran is more conservative on that side. And here is where the viewpoint shines a lot. They're much more penetrating and accurate regarding to what they have to say and then also how they see the situation. But when they try to talk about United States and Europe, they start to become a bit blurry. So that's how I would say suggest other people in the world as well. If you can, you have to kind of understand Mandarins in order to watch this channel. You can, of course, watch the subtitle as well as the long is daily. And I think it will really help you understand how Chinese people think today and how we see the global geopolitical landscape. So Xi Jinping visited, well, and going to visit three countries during this trip: France, Serbia, and Hungary. And obviously, this is not random. All these three countries are chose for a reason. The first thing I want to talk about here is actually why Xi Jinping didn't choose to visit Germany. Because since the pandemic and since the war started in Ukraine, Olaf Scholz actually brought a lot of business and enterprise in two visits. One last year and then one this year to China. And Xi Jinping welcomed all of them. So it sounds only fair and polite for China and Xi Jinping to revisit Germany, right? Well, let me tell you this. And I talked to many German friends here in my channel under the comment section. And I want to be straightforward and polite to this issue. China's current attitude towards Germany is both of sympathy because we understand what the German people are going through at the moment. There's not much China can do to change the fate of Germany, but we'll try our best to maintain economic tie with Germany so the German people won't suffer too much hardship. However, that being said, we are being also more vigilant towards Germany because it is difficult to see the true intention of German political decision or moves because we do not know which decision is of goodwill and which decision is a trap set by some foreign entity who's pulling the string behind German politics. So I personally feel sorry a bit for Olaf Scholz. I can see that when he makes different decisions, he has his hand tied, kind of, and not able to make all the decision he wants due to the unique political situation in Germany. And also that the other political parties, such as the Green Party, what's that guy's name? Robert Harback. Oh my God. Annalena Baerbock. I really don't know what to say about Annalena. Let me give you guys an example here, all right? For people who don't understand why I'm saying this, I know there's people out there who understand why I say this kind of thing. I visited no less than 500 factories throughout my life. I was an industrial consultant. Sometimes I do merge and acquisition. Sometimes I just purchase product and help sell products. At the beginning of my career, okay, I definitely fresh out of the boat. When I go to a factory, I shake hand with everyone, try to be nice to everyone. And after several years and, 400 factories down the line, the process become more smooth. So when, for example, a sales sit down with me and try to make friend with me, I just go like, you know what? I just want to go back to my hotel and rest. I don't want to buy this product at $50. Okay, can you give it to me for $40? If you can, I'll just go back. You drive me back to the hotel and we'll call it a day. I don't really need you to entertain me anymore. And I can tell that you are not really the decision maker right here. So to save both of us time, can you tell whoever is making the decision to come out and we can have a quick negotiation? And usually after a few minutes, the factory owner or the wife of the factory owner will come sit down and go like, okay, we can't do 40. All right, the material price is all through the roof, and the best we can do is 45. Your volume is not that high, and we have our schedule for what you can do is that I will give you a business card right here. You can go to the factory next door. They have more cheaper things with lower quality. Maybe you can bargain with them, but for us, the best we can do is 45. And that is great. So my response usually, okay, let's do 45. But your sales here is buying me dinner and also buying me a massage. So that's the way. After you do a certain things for a period of time, you kind of can smell the power structure of things. So, and when I look at, for example, Annalena Baerbock, I watch, her interview and other things, and you know, it doesn't really take that long. You can tell there's nothing in her. She's an empty husk. Not even a puppet. Like it feels like an empty husk. So if I am the foreign minister of China, okay, and I am asked by Xi Jinping to go to Germany just to show some good gesture, I'll be sitting down here and when she start talking, I'll be like,
we are doing it in line with our European partners, with the EU Commission, who has also made very clear that China is not only a competitor in some of economic question, it's also a partner fighting the climate crisis, but also a system rival. And because it's a system rival, we have to make clear that nobody can blackmail us as we were with regard to our dependency to Russia. And this in line with the United Nations General Assembly, saying that this fundamental breach of international law by Russia against Ukraine cannot be tolerated, because otherwise it would be an invitation to other countries like China to also invade Taiwan or other countries. And this is why it's so important that the whole international community is,
wait. Did the Americans tap their phone right there? Are they listening on us right now? Is it Jake Sullivan on the other side? Hey, Jake. We're not here in Germany to mess with your rule-based international order, and we're not here to flip Germany red or anything. Just here to conclude some business, okay? And we'll be on our way. No worries. And Princess Anna is doing a great job, and I really can't sit through this and going to grab a beer. Okay, we Chinese, we really love Germany, okay? We model our economic structure by learning from the Germans because we believe that that will lead to a more balanced and fair society. And Mr. Tang here from the show basically say that Germany today has zero decision power when it comes to geopolitical alignment. And for me, I see there are Germans that are wiggling a little bit. I do follow AFDS sometimes, but it's gonna take a long time for anything major happen. Okay, so there's really no point for Xi Jinping to visit Germany because from our perspective, visiting Germany will actually give German people and German politicians more trouble than benefit. And let's leave the politics aside and just do business if we can. Okay, now let's talk about France. Oh, before we need to talk about Ursula, which she also came to the meeting in France, and to me and to basically all the Chinese geopolitical analysts, okay, Ursula is 1,000% confirmed U.S. puppet. It's pure U.S. puppet. Okay, I don't even want to get into a discussion or argument with anyone in my comment section. In China, if some people, if anyone who can see this is consider brain dead at this moment. So, did you see, did you guys see how she was treated when she came to China last time? Oh, it was so bad, and she had to came with her own flight, and then she had to leave through airport security like a regular traveler. China really want a good relationship with Europe, okay? And from the Chinese leadership's perspective, is this if this woman has anything to do with the interests of Europe, we would have treated her better, okay? We know that she has none, okay? She's just working for the Americans. So we don't even want to deal with her. Like you can say whatever you say. You can be on stage saying whatever. She just said a bunch of things just this morning. Let me play the clips.
Electric vehicles or, for example, steel are flooding the European market. At the same time, China continues to massively support its manufacturing sector, and this combined with a domestic demand that is not increasing, the world cannot absorb China's surplus production.
So yeah, we really don't give a flying F, okay? That's her. She can do whatever she wants. So according to Mr. Tang, France wants to be a future leader of Europe, Macron. And that's kind of also one of the reasons why he invited Ursula to the meeting. Because if he or she doesn't invite her, then you will feel like maybe France and China is talking under the table, trying to betray Europe, and maybe the Americans will sell it that way. That's why she need to be there, just to make sure we're transparent with things. So France and Macron has been keep saying that Europe and France need to have more strategic autonomy, which we Chinese agree, okay? We Chinese want a strong and independent Europe, not a Europe that is a US settler. And furthermore, any countries on this planet today, when they talk about, let's say, strategic autonomy, it usually means that they want to keep a certain distance from US. I think people from other parts of the world understand what I mean. People who are watching this video who are Eastern European might be confused. That's how I feel. And to achieve that strategic autonomy today on this planet, China is kind of only one of the only leverage any country has towards United States. It also, of course, works the other way around. So because how powerful US influence is around the world and sometimes quite invasive, so country who wanna have the best bargaining power have to kind of go when they negotiate with United States, they have to go something like, okay, if you don't give us a better deal, we can go and talk to the Chinese. And there's really no third option. Russia economic footprint is too small, and other countries are around the planet is kind of not in a position to challenge United States, right? So China is kind of the only option to go. So here's the way how I see the China and France relationship, okay? We understand France is in a very difficult position as well when dealing with China because US is always trying to demonize our relationship between France. So this trip Xi Jinping just took is a way for China to provide France with a certain amount of political leverage to show that China sees France as a very important player in Europe and help France to gain more bargaining chip when it deals with US or Russia or other countries in Europe as well. And so this is saying that if US pressure France too much in any negotiation, France has the alternative to say that, well, you pressure me too much. What if I just go and work with the Chinese? So that would basically help France to get more deals done with the Americans if needed and from a better position. China approach to France for another important reason, I would say. France is the largest and most independent country right now in Europe at the moment. Maybe far from its prime in the older days. But as long as China and France relationship, French relationship can stay balanced, if not stay warm, it is very difficult for US influence to completely detach Europe from China. There's also the Hungarians, which is helping the Chinese. So, in other words, if China is not able to maintain a good relationship with France, and both US and France become anti China, then China would lose the entire European continent. And that's not good. We want to keep a good relationship with Europe. So, again, from my own perspective, I know people from Europe will also disagree. The Chinese-French relationship is one of the core relationship for Europeans to keep Europe's strategic autonomy hope alive. That's how we Chinese see it, okay? And also, if France and Hungary is pro-China, then EU legislation will not be able to pass any major anti-China policy in that regard because you have to have all the votes, right? Oh, one more thing. How Macron is kind of favoring the idea that France and probably with some other European countries should mobilize and send troops into Ukraine. And I know that the other channels you guys probably watch are against this idea, saying how stupid it is, you escalate the situation, this and that. I actually think this is a great move. I'm not kidding, okay? I actually think this is a great move. And in fact, when I started my YouTube channel right here, and when Macron first brought up this plan, I say that, watch, I make a short clip, which nobody really watched, but I want to show you here. It's in my shorts. I made it 6 weeks ago, and I posted it. I make it because I want to also practice how to use a video editing tool, but I made it, and you guys can see how I think, okay? From China's point of view, France's desire to enter the war in Ukraine with an European-based army is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, China do not want the war to escalate because more money spent on military means less money spent on Chinese goods. However, China also wants Europe to regain its strategic autonomy and not just be a satellite lapdog of the United States. And it's almost impossible to achieve that without an army of its own. It's like a kid going into a car dealership. The salesman can get him hooked, but when it's time to strike a deal, the salesman knows who to negotiate with. Well, the Donald Trump thing at the end is, well, one way I'm trying to attract maybe some mega Americans to watch my channel as well. And also, I think what I'm referring to is that Europe right now really has no leader and have to always look up to the Americans for decision. So I think that's not a good way, which is why I show it at the end that you have to always turn to America at the end, because you can like whatever car you want, but at the end, who's paying the bill? It's the Americans. So to me, this plan that Macron and France bring out is not exactly bad. So in a way, what I can see, of course, this is a risky plan, but in a way, if Europe can come together, put together an army, let's say 250,000 or even 500,000 troops, and just march the troop right up to the Ukrainian borders, okay? And basically tell Russia, all right, this is an army run by Europeans, okay? And Europe has say on this matter. We're either going to fight or we can sit down to negotiate. Okay, there's no United States. We are making the plan, and we need to find out what is the best way moving forward together and find a peaceful solution. So this is basically like a march, I would say, not exactly to free Ukrainians from the Russians, more like to free Ukrainians and Europe from the Americans. If Europe can actually put together this kind of plan and do it, I would say it might actually work from my perspective. Or you can, of course, wait for Donald Trump to get into office and do something funny. If not, I just don't see Europe's future to be that bright over the next few decades if you guys cannot make your own decision and always have to rely on United States. Which, from my perspective, I don't really mind if Europeans don't see what I just said, and you don't mind to be Americans' financial inflation dumpster. I mean, go ahead. I live in the United States, so right now United States is latched onto Europe to lower European standard just to keep its own living standard. But again, so many Europeans don't understand what I mean by that. Now, let's talk about Serbia. Today is May 7th, and Xi Jinping is going to Serbia. As of this moment I'm making my video, I have no idea what he's going to do in Serbia. But May 7 is a very important day, okay? Because exactly 25 years ago, May 7, 1999, NATO bombed Chinese embassy in Belgrade. So there's, I think, the Serbians made a museum in Belgrade to commemorate and construction was done a few months ago, a few years ago, I don't remember, and it was never open to public. I think this is the time that Xi Jinping will be going there to have an open ceremony or something. So he's only going to stay in Serbia for just one day, and then he will be on to Hungary. And also, we know that Serbia is under a lot of pressure right now regarding its position to both China and Russia, and also regarding its EU membership. I didn't follow their membership process so closely, but I know that I think in order to join EU, you have to also join NATO, which the current Serbian government and the Serbian people probably is against, I would say. So yeah, there's a chance that Serbia might join BRICS in the future. And I don't know, maybe Serbians can tell me what you guys think about this. Do you guys really want to join NATO so you can join EU? And also regarding, I know, Kosovo, it seems that Serbia have to also agree upon something regarding Kosovo and to accept that that is a separate country. So that's probably definitely a no-no for Serbians. So again, I think China, Xi Jinping, is there this time to also help our friend in Serbia to gain a little bit more political leverage towards their relationship with EU. So if EU pressure Serbia too hard, Serbia have the option to not join EU and join with the BRICS, and that's your choice. That means that even if you want to join EU instead, then EU will not put so much pressure on you in that case. So Hungary. To me, Hungary is probably one of the most important stop out of the three countries in Xi Jinping's trip. And this is for economic reasons, okay? China, because of the global and European political landscape right now, is, I would say, temporarily, okay, giving up on building a positive relationship with EU. We know that US influence in Europe is just too much at the moment, especially with the war ongoing with Russia. And because of that, today's Chinese elite consider EU to be a vassal, a satellite of the US. So instead of trying to speak with Ursula to try to change anything, which is completely hopeless, China will just push forward with building independent, good relationship with independent countries who still want to have a good relationship with China. So Hungary is the way to go. We consider Hungary to be one of the more level-headed and reasonable country right now left in Europe. So we already invested a huge amount of money in building a manufacturing hub in Hungary, and you become basically a manufacturing center for China to export its good into the rest of Europe. Also, again, from Chinese point of view, okay, we consider Hungarian to be the most humane in this Ukraine war, and different from which, again, from our perspective, okay, politicians in Poland and Czech and Latvia and other Baltic states, they're just trying to cash off this Ukraine war and basically sucking the blood out of Ukrainians. But Hungarians is not doing that. So we kind of support this more pro negotiation, pro stopping the war perspective. I know a lot of Ukrainians gonna be mad at this. So in the future, it's very likely that when Europeans buy Chinese cars, Chinese EV batteries, they'll be not buying from China, but directly from Hungary. And Hungary, I think, is a landlocked country, but it also border 9 different European countries. So it's a good logistic hub. And also, I think they just discover a lithium deposit. So it's a plus. It's definitely a good place to work with, and with a very friendly pro-Chinese population and government. So to conclude this video, China is using France as a political ally in Europe and using Hungary as an economic allies. And hopefully China can hold on to its relationship with Europe through these 2 countries and not get kicked out by the Americans. And to that end, I will see you guys in the next video.